Driving supercars is awesome. Take it from me, Brad let me drive his R8 once. And even though it's a mid-engined, really expensive Volkswagen, it was pretty frickin' rad. The sound of the engine screaming behind you, the feel of a low-slung sports car just inches off the ground, and obviously, all the friggin' attention you get. But we, the poor bastards of the world, can't ever have that. Or can we? Let's find out how those of us in the working class can drive something truly special. Something that we can pull up to in a Cars and Coffee and draw a crowd. A car that makes a statement and a scene pretty much wherever it goes. And all that for a lot less money than you think. How cheap? Well, the average price of a new car in North America is around $50,000 now. And all of these can be had for less than that, and sometimes a lot less. But more on that in a minute. And yeah, I know, some of you kids in the comments are gonna say, that's not cheap. Well, guess what, Trevor? You can't get a supercar for 4,000 bucks. I'm sorry. And I know a bunch of you are gonna yell at me saying that these aren't supercars. Well, guess what, jackass? The first car on this list is a Viper. Is it as fast as a supercar? Hell yes it is. Is it as loud as a supercar? What are you, stupid? This is a Viper. Will it stand out in a crowd? It's gonna get a lot more attention than your Nissan Altima. The first generation Dodge Viper is basically one of the coolest cars ever built. It's basically Florida, the supercar. It's old, it's born to be in the sun, and it's screaming at everyone at the beachside bar with a little white powder on its nose. The Dodge Viper is basically an insane kit car made by a real car company, and it is made for two things: burning rubber and getting noticed. Well, also maybe crashing into things too. It's pretty good at that. You want to own America's real true supercar? Well, you're gonna have to spend around 40 stacks for the pleasure, but wait, that is less than the average cost of a new car. And if you get a loan, sell your Honda, put a little money down, you only need like $600 or $700 a month to pay for this thing. Just, get some pretty good insurance to go along with it. Okay, I get it, that's still $40,000. And half of you watching this can't wrap your head around spending real money to buy real cars. So the next car is the one that is always the answer. And no, I'm not talking about a Miata. The C5 Z06 is always the answer, especially when they're like half the price of the Viper. Look, we just did a long ass video about the Corvette you can watch up here, but I think we need to do an episode specifically about the C5. Because right now, I think this is the best performance car for the money that you can get. Oh sure, you could get like a BMW V10 M5, but that's not even like close to supercar territory. They look exactly like the sedans that your mother, who's a real estate agent, takes all their clients around in. You could buy a Maserati, but only the ugly ones. And you don't want to maintain one of those. No, you want a C5 Z06. The C5 Z06 is fast, like properly fast. It's shaped like a triangle. Cars shaped like triangles are always fast. And best of all, unlike most of the cars on this list, it's gonna be reliable. This is a supercar built by cavemen for cavemen. And the C5 Z06 is gonna get you a ton of attention. But unlike the Viper, which will get you a bunch of attention from little 7-year-olds who think your car is shaped like a dinosaur, a Vet is gonna get you a bunch of 75-year-old men in golf shorts walking up to you at the gas station telling you about how their dad used to own one. But hey, attention is attention. And for just around $18,000, you cannot get more attention, more speed, and a better deal than this C5 Z06. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are saying, American cars, those are not supercars because they're not exotic. And I kind of agree with you. So if you need to have something that comes from a distant land, that feels truly special, and feels truly exotic, one very special car that can be had on the cheap right now is the most unloved 911 ever, the 996 Turbo. Look, this is the car that the Corvette is always going after and can never quite beat. The 911 is Germany's super fast Volkswagen Beetle, a 3-digit number that's been around for so long, seen so many generations that no matter which one you own, you are part of a special club. While the 996 isn't the most loved because of its weird headlights and its first generation water cooler, that doesn't matter because it looks exactly like every other 911. And when you pull up to the dentist's office, everyone's gonna think you own the place, not getting your nasty teeth cleaned.
Headers comfortable?
Hi.
Now look, you can get the base model 996 and it's a lot of fun. But I'm gonna tell you, you should stretch your dollar and get the turbo. Why get the turbo? Because then you have a supercar. From the look of that fat rear end and that giant wing, to the sound of 420 German horses stampeding behind you, all the way down to that badge on the hood. This ain't a Dodge, it ain't no Chevy, it's a Porsche, a name that commands respect, a name that gets envied by everyone that sees you driving by in it. And unlike the 996 Carrera, which everyone owns, the turbo is properly special. Now, we found one for $47,000, and it's not a manual, but we're just talking about the cheapest supercars here. You're not gonna get the ideal spec. Don't know what the ideal spec is? You should check out Brad's Ideal Car Strategies, where he goes into buying the best cars that earn you the most money. But if you're a broke bastard like me,
Pockets ain't empty, cuz.
you're just looking to get into a 996 turbo for the least amount of money possible. And the Sport Auto will get you there, and it's still gonna be a lot of fun. And either way, no matter what transmission you get in the thing, it's going to appreciate. This is a car that you are likely to earn money on over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, you wanna talk a cheap supercar? How about one that has the same engine as a Pontiac Vibe? Luckily, everyone who sees you pull up in a Lotus Elise will not know what is under the hood, or rear deck, or whatever they call it. No. Anyone that sees you drive up in a Lotus Elise is just gonna think you're some capitalist douchebag, which is what we're going for here, right? Look, all you car nerds are gonna say this isn't a supercar. It's too slow, it's too small, and it's too cheap. But I dare you to ask your non-car friends if this is a supercar. Your mom, your Tinder date, and the guy next to you at the stoplight is gonna think you're driving something super. More importantly, while yes, this does look fantastic, for those of us that actually love the art of driving, there is nothing quite like driving a Lotus. It's a go-kart. It's a go-kart with a plenty powerful and super reliable engine. It's super impractical. It'll dominate pretty much anyone around a racetrack. It looks insane and has a giant wing on the back. And it's affordable. I didn't say cheap, affordable. Okay, well, maybe not most of you, but hear me out here. In the world of supercars, where an oil change costs you like $1,000 and a brake pad is like $400 a piece, and all of them break down constantly, just ask Brad. The Lotus Elise is the reliable option. It's got a frickin' Toyota motor in it. It's a part shed car. So yes, while it will take you 40 to 50 grand to get into the driver's seat of one, compared to the rest of the cars on this list, it will cost you next to nothing to own. Bonus, these are also starting to go up in value a lot. This is another potential money-earning car over the next few years. Now, if you want a British sports car with a proper tea-sipping British engine, you get an Aston. Sadly, you get the V8 Vantage, not the DB7, but who's gonna know other than your nerdy car friends? From a distance, they look kinda the same. And they look really good. All Astons are pretty beautiful. As for how they drive, well, you know, who cares? We're getting this for the looks. This is why you're watching this video. If you want a car that drives fantastic and goes fast, you get the Elise I just talked about, not the Aston. But if you want a British car that makes a statement everywhere it goes, makes you look rich as hell, and won't terrify the crap out of your girlfriend in the passenger seat, you get the Aston. So if you, my viewers, want to look and feel like you're supercar rich without spending supercar prices, you get into an Aston V8 Vantage for around 40 grand. And then start figuring out how you like ordering your martinis and get fitted for a suit.
Shaken, not stirred.
Or if you prefer to order up a Negroni, you might want to go Italian. That's right, it's that time again. The ideal car for douchebags who want everyone to know that they're douchebags. The de facto depreciating exotic car, the Maserati Ghibli. Look, you want a proper supercar, you buy a Ferrari. But you can't afford a Ferrari. You can't afford the cheapest Ferrari ever made. You can't afford a Ferrari jacket. But you can afford a Ghibli. And under the hood of the Ghibli is a Ferrari. It's packing a V6 bi-turbo engine with 300 Italian horsepower, and it shares a lot of technology and design with the Ferrari California and 488. What surrounds that engine is a Maserati. It's decent. It's a good-looking car, and the interior is quintessentially Italian. Look, there's no mistaking it. Everyone who sees you in a Maserati Ghibli is gonna think you're rich. They're gonna think you have bad taste and use fake spray tan and spend too much money on watches, but they will think you're rich.
Oh, and it gets worse.
And that's worth something, right? It's worth about 22,000 bucks. Which, actually, now that I think about it, you could do a lot worse than a Maserati Ghibli for that kind of money. So, why not? At least it's not a crappy hybrid that's a total sales flop. Speaking of, Fisker Karma. If you saw one and didn't know what it was, be honest with me, what would you assume it's worth? How fast do you think it goes? When I first saw one, I thought they were like supercars. And I thought, based on their low-slung looks and their curvy Italian lines, that these things were fast as hell. But that's the thing about Fisker Karmas. It's one of the best-looking cars with the weakest-ass power plant since the DeLorean. Yeah, it looks great. It looks like a supercar inside and out. But like the DeLorean, it's kind of a slog to drive. It's essentially a hybrid that's more EV than ICE. 400 horsepower of electric motors push this thing to 60 miles per hour in about 6 seconds. And it tops out at around 125 miles per hour, which is just not supercar at all. But it heckin' looks like a supercar. And additionally, the interior of the Karma with all of its reusable materials and stuff actually looks like a supercar. It's real pretty. So if you've got $35,000 to throw away, and you don't mind being slower than your friend with the BRZ, give the Fisker Karma a look. Alright, if you can't tell, I think the Fisker Karma kinda sucks. And let's be honest, a lot of the cars on this list do. That's why they're cheap. What'd you think, you were gonna get a Lamborghini for like 20 grand? Cars cost money, fools. Next up though, is actually a pretty decent car. Look, I know what you guys want. I know why you're watching this video. You want fast, you want baller, you want prestige, and you want it cheap. Then you, my friends, want an SL55 AMG. Look, there's 3 reasons you own an old black Mercedes. First is you're old and rich, which I'm guessing you're not. The second reason is you're Russian and you work in sales. The third reason, and the one that I think applies to probably everybody watching this, is that you're broke as hell and you want a car that makes you feel like a god. And yes, driving around in an SL55 AMG will make you feel like a god. It's got the kind of power and style that actually made Jeremy Clarkson go out and buy one. Yeah, he owned one of these. This is an AMG, and that badge means badass. What's badass is it's got a supercharger. What's badass is that it's got 500 horsepower. What's badass is it has a whole interior wrapped in leather. And what is badass is that it goes over 200 miles per hour top speed if you unrestrict it. This is definitely the most supercar-y supercar you can get for under 20,000 bucks. Period. And that's it. Those are my cheap ass supercars for your cheap ass. What do you think? What's another great supercar that can be had for next to nothing? Did you like the video? Like it. Did you dislike the video? I don't care. Watch us on TikTok instead. Either way, thanks for watching. It has been ideal hanging out with you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Later.